Hello, and welcome to a new poorly lit series entitled something along the lines of things that you thought would be harder to make because you thought they were restricted, but they're actually not, and they're easier to make using simple physics and stuff that I'm going to show you. And also, you thought that they were harder to make. Today is about X-rays. They're easier to make than you thought. You will need one 12-volt power supply. Here's one I made earlier. It's 360 watts, but yours could be a battery. One 60,000 volt voltage multiplier found on eBay or Amazon. Other sites are available. And one vacuum tube. These can all be sourced on the internet. Let's have a look. Right then, it's pretty easy to find the bits you need. Let's price this up. A 12-volt power supply. There we go. 2 amp, 12 volts, 545 to 595. There you go. Fiver. Call it 6 quid, right? To be fair, that is pretty weak. I would not want that. Introducing the made by me power supply. £5.45 each. There we go. Sorted. Call it 6 quid. Splice the end. That's all you need to do. Splice the end and you're sorted. 60 kilovolt. There we go. kVA. We don't want that. Weaklings. We just want a 60 kilovolt voltage multiplier. Let's see what pops up. There we go. 529 from Singapore. Not having that. Don't go for the cheap round ones. The cheap round ones will melt. The thing is, you want one that takes a 12-volt input, because if they don't, they're just a bit weak. Right, we'll go with the one from Singapore. I'm sure you can get some others. £5.29. Again, call it 6 quid. Yeah, look at that. 1,000 kilovolts, so 1,000,000 volts for £2. I think it's unlikely. They're not exactly great, those ones. So there we go. 6-volt or 12-volt lead acid battery. 12-volt is the best. 12-volt DC. Well, that's all you need. 12-volt DC, which is what I've got in my machine. There we go. So we're at £12. What else should we get? We need a vacuum tube, and this is probably the main part that you want to look for. There we go. £9, £6. I think I went with one of these. Vacuum tube. Again, that'd probably work. Generally, bigger is better. Large vacuum tube. It could be called a rectifier tube as well. Rectifier. What it's saying is you want a large rectum. Look at that, that's massive. It's from the United States though. Right, let's move on. Let's build the thing. Let's go through the bits on the thing really quickly. Okay, I'm going to go through the physics bit as fast as I can. Let's do this. We want to get onto actually the making bit, the fun bit. Okay, so you have a vacuum tube. That's the bit that you've just bought from America with, £20 postage. A vacuum tube. At one end you have a negative electrode, at one you have a positive. These are connected to your 60,000 volt power supply. Lovely jubbly. Electrons come along and they build up on the negative. The electrons then fly through the gap, unlike normal electricity in a metal where they pass through all of the metal ions. The electrons actually jump the gap entirely, so assume there's 100% efficiency. You have 60,000 volts here and 0 volts here, so they are losing all of their energy throughout there. This is done when the electron collides with the metal plate here. The electron comes along, it's at 60,000 volts, collides into the plate, and then it comes out pretty much zero, if we assume 100% efficiency. This energy is lost. When electrons lose energy, they usually do it by emitting a photon or a wave, whatever the hell you want to go with for this explanation. We know that the higher the energy, the higher the frequency will be. H is Planck's constant equals hf. So really high energy loss means a really high frequency. If you have the electromagnetic spectrum with radio waves all the way down to gamma waves with visible light in the middle, we're looking at an energy and a frequency around here is what's emitted, which is X-rays, and that's how the X-rays are formed. Okay, so let's start making this thing. It's very, 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 very simple. Let's get our 12 volt power supply is the first thing you want to start off with. This one can be hooked into the mains. Electricians, don't analyse my circuit, it's not very good. That goes in there like so, easy peasy. We want this. Let's connect those to the exposed wires. It really doesn't matter which way around this goes. I've found, you know, you hook it up, hope for the best, cross your fingers. Don't stand near it. Hook it up. Let's do a quick test run to see that the high voltage is being generated. We want to find that out, don't we? Let's move to a socket. Important to note that the voltage is actually dependent on the size of the gap. If you have a really, really small gap, that's not going to mean that, you know, 60,000 volts is going across there. It's actually going to be a lot less. So if you can make a really, really big gap, then you'll get quite a higher voltage. These sparks can't burn, I found. Let's plug that in. Aww. Come on! Ooh. Aww. That's a shame. Well, it works. Now all we have to do is hook it up to the vacuum tube. Always disconnect your power supply from the wall. Vacuum tube. You know what? I'm gonna do it on the one left of the top because sometimes it's nice to be different. Unless you get bullied for being different, in which case it's probably not nice. But if you're an X-ray machine, it's nice. There we go. That is now connected to the vacuum tube. All you have to do with the other bit is connect it to the other end. I don't know, with some duct tape, whatever you want, and you're ready to go, really. Look at that. That's fantastic. I think we need some sellotape if I'm honest. Observe, wire, connected to the pin. Sellotape goes on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's get some light on this. This deserves... Oh yes. This kind of thing is fantastic. This is the reason that the head of safety in my school came to me and said, "Charlie, do you have any radioactive samples at home?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "No." Right, I've just cleaned up the sellotape just a little bit because I am aware that this should be a professional looking device. That sounds cool and all, but we need a safety disclaimer. Okay, I hope that you read all of that. It's very important. Oh, broomstick handle.
Broomstick handle!
Fell on the thing. Right, there we go. We put that there, like that. We should be able to see Let's go turn this on. Let's go find out. That's a shame. I'm ashamed. How do I touch that on there? Let's try again. Yes, that was good. I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to see whether I'm going to die. I'm going to see the radiation from where I was. I'm going to say no. That's not risen. Hell yeah. Get yours now for £22. So that was actually quite a good run. We got up to about 1.4 microsieverts an hour, which was really quite good. I wasn't expecting too much like that, but that definitely proves that we have got X-rays there. There's no way that would have gone up to 1.4 microsieverts an hour just with background radiation. Background radiation globally is about 0.2 microsieverts an hour, and it's about 0.14, 0.16 where I live. I've measured it over a few days. I suspect that the X-ray is actually producing a lot more than that. X-rays don't particularly interact very much with GM tubes that are in Geiger counters, so a lot of the X-rays go undetected. But if we assume that it is actually producing 1.4 microsieverts an hour, I think that the best thing to do to get even more would be to get a bigger tube. I mentioned earlier that the voltage of an arc depends on the size of the gap. And in my tube, the gap is really, really small, so it might not even be using the full 60,000 volts there. We might have a lot more that we can do. Particularly if we buy a bigger rectifier tube with a larger gap, I reckon we could get a lot more out of it as well. And the power supply can definitely handle it, so that might be something to do in the future. 1.4 microsieverts an hour isn't actually that much. When you are, on a flight over to the US, for instance, you're likely to get 2.2, 3.2 microsieverts an hour as the rate in the plane due to cosmic radiation that we get shielded a lot of the time down here. So, 1.4 microsieverts an hour, it would actually be alright to stand next to that for a few hours, and, it'd be like you're getting on a flight. You'd never check. You've never probably heard of getting on a flight and it being, radioactive, that you're going to get irradiated. You do get irradiated when you're on a flight. If you get irradiated on a flight, why can't you stand next to the X-ray machine? And that's where the Geiger counter comes in again. It's probably not detecting most of the X-rays, so it's really important to assume that reading is false. By that logic, then, I can say that my Geiger counter is incredibly powerful, and it's fantastic. Well, I think we'll leave things here then. The X-ray machine works. It's all fantastic, fun-dabby-dozy. I think we put a pin in this project and come back to it and put a bigger tube on it. We get phosphor paper and we take actual images with it, which would be very cool. I think that you should subscribe to the channel. I think that you should like the video. I think that hitting the bell is really quite annoying. You can't do it if you don't want to. Like constantly get notifications from YouTube. I swipe them away. I don't like it. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Who knows what will be coming in the future.